Hey Nuggets, so in this video I'm gonna explain all the questions that you've had on my editing recently. So I started off with how do you get your head on a real life pic, and you use the eraser tool. Like, it's kind of obvious, like what else are you gonna use to cut out your other head? And then after I'm done doing that, I'm gonna say the next step, how you place the head on the real life pic. The next step is you want to use the transform tool. You can find it where the tools are placed or where the layers are, and rotate the head how the head is on the real life pic, if that makes sense. So when you feel like it's on correctly, you go on back onto the eraser tool and just erase bits out to have it looking right. When you're done, you go on the blur tool and blur out around the forehead and just anywhere else that's got to be blended out depending on what real life pic that you've got. And then when you're done, you go back with the eraser and just look at the pic for a few seconds and look at what doesn't look right, and just erase just a little bits out. So now I'm gonna explain like the brushes I use. I use the dip pen for highlights, literally that's all I use it for, and the soft brush for skin, and when I'm repainting I use the pen fade for the hair. And you can find it above the digital pen brush because someone asked where you find that. And then the next brush that I use is the Watercolour bleed brush. I use that to do like slick bun hairstyles. If you want a tutorial on that, just comment down and I'll do it. And I use the round brush point to make the hair look more realistic after using the pen fade brush. I use the chain brush to do necklaces and stuff like that, like if I wanted one. So I go on Google and I search up my name. Like, you make sure that the background is transparent. I'll put a video how to do that. It's gonna come up in a sec because I don't know why it's taking its time. Okay, now you see it. So make sure like you see them little squares at the back. If you get a white background, then it's not transparent. So yeah. And then the last brush that I use is the lights. I use that to make anything glowy or making the highlights look like glitter. And that's literally all the brushes that I use. All the other ones are kind of irrelevant for now. Every time I do a morph edit, the next thing I do after blending everything in, I colour pick the skin on the forehead, and I use the soft brush and I go around the forehead, and then after I've done that I blur it out again, and then I make a new layer, and then I start doing the hair. I forgot to mention this feature on my other videos. It's called the stabilizer. So you want the method on after, and it just makes the brushes that you use look nicer than it is. Can't really explain it, but yeah. So what I'm doing here is I'm colour picking the right colour that matches the hair overall, and just drawing that on, and you make sure you've lowered the opacity down to like 50, I think, so you still see like the real hair come out, so it looks so it doesn't look like too drawn, if you get what I mean. After we've done repainting the whole thing, you go on the round brush point and making the hair more realistic on the Avies. Wait, that doesn't even make sense. What I'm saying is just like, oh my god, I can't explain for shit, but you get what I mean as you like watch what I'm doing. And so you colour pick the colours on the hair. You're gonna go back and forth, reappearing the hair, and how, so when you make it appear again, you'd see like how much you've put the paint on the Avi's hair. I'm about to go back with the blur tool and blur it out, mix it all together with the hair, and make sure you've lowered the opacity just like you did repainting the whole hair colour, so it all comes together looking real. Now you're gonna colour pick that brown colour on the side of the hair and use multiply and going in on the darker areas on the real life hair to define it, and then after you're done doing that, you're pretty much done with the hair. And then you're going to go and filter, then on Gaussian blur and blur out the darker bits, just a little bit. Next, make a new layer at the bottom of the hair layers and make your edges. Couldn't speak then. Now, on to the next questions I get asked. How do you crop the pictures? Well, you go on canvas that is on the tool side and just crop the picture like you normally do with like a normal editing app for pictures. And lastly, I get questions on where do you get your pictures from for Morph Edits? Well, I put up some examples of pictures you could use. You can like screenshot if you want. So here you go. Hope this helped.